Is everybody ready to take the space bus to the moon? We're going to be playing some Kerbal Space Program here. Let me get it up on the main screen. Everything seems to be okay. Excellent. Oh man, it's great. It's been too long since we've played this. Way too long. And part of it is because I'm like, I mean, what do we do next? I really like playing career mode, and you know, that sort of difficulty of leveling up. But then once you've done it, it's like, all right, what do you do? And you come up with like really wacky things, and some things are too hard to do reliably on stream, and I don't know. But we got a good one today. Hey, Toadman! Thank you very much for the sub. I'm having a little chocolate. Thank you, everyone who contributes to the chocolate and whiskey fund. What the hell is that out there? What's this little black thing? This is just a sandbox game. There's nothing... It's a fresh sandbox game with nothing going on. Yeah, there's nothing there. What the hell is that? I thought it was something on my screen at first, but no. Hold on, we need to build a space car. Garrick, thank you, Murph, for the resub. Space car, rah. This. I'm gonna build a really dumb one. Actually, I guess we can do an electric-powered space car. Whatever, do that anyway. I'm used to doing rocket-powered ones at first. We need rover wheels. Can we build the big ones? Will that work? I think we need a bit more ground clearance. Oh my god, you guys, I'm gonna die. We got that. Actually, we could do them a little bit cambered here. We need the rotation tool. Grab that. Rotate out. Then I want to grab the, well, actually the move tool should be fine. Grab this. Move it down. That probably would have been sufficient for the other one as well. Grab that, get rid of it, try it again. And snap, and rotate that way, and move tool, and just bring it down. Give us some more clearance here. And then rotate. Turn off the clip so that we can do it a little bit more smoothly. All right, and then some solar panels. Ooh, sexy. Very cool. There you go. Let's lunch. I want to see what that little black thingy is. Dun 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 dun. It's the monolith? I've never seen this though. Vroom. Oh, four-way steering. That is sexy. Although I think I'm going to turn off the steering in the back. There we go. Vroom, 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 vroom. I've never seen that. Has it always been there? Did something change in my graphics or some shit? Is it new? Oh! Cars are not good in Kerbal. The physics system is not kind to cars. Vroom, vroom, whoop. As soon as you go up to a certain speed, things start to get a little bit wonky. Also, and this is very important, last time we streamed, I had huge problems with my planes. Like, well, this would happen, actually. Actually, you can see as we drive here. You see this? That wipeout? That kept happening with my planes, and I couldn't figure out why. The reason is this bullshit. Automatic friction control. Turn that off. Especially with their front ones. It kicks in, and it sets the friction of your front tires really weird, and then all of a sudden your thing flips backwards. I could not launch a space plane. I thought there was something inherently... Look how smooth it's driving now. I thought there was something inherently wrong with my design. And it was at some point that like friction of the front wheel would kick in, and the whole thing would go backwards. Look, I'm just holding W now, and it's perfect. Just turn that off, or you're going to lose a lot of space planes. Hey, Swamp Hopper, Thank you very much for the resub, and Italian Mobster before that. Okay, we're getting some wobble there. And again, the back wheels still have friction. The front wheels have their traction control turned on. It's like, what is that crap? I wonder if I turn the this off as well. And that. And that. Just turn that stuff off. Okay, brake! 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 Brake, 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 brake. There we are. Squad. Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing this. Let's turn the rear steering back on. Boop. There we are. Look at that. It's new. Other people are saying they've never seen it. It's always been there. Someone else is saying it's new in 113. I can't have been there. It can't have been there before. I refuse to believe that this has been here forever. So this is what happens with a little friction, though, is you do get, like, some of that stuff going on. I think the important thing is you want friction, but you want to make sure there's more friction on the rear tires than the front. And you don't want the tires to suddenly, like, invert their friction behavior. You see, it's not going quite straight, but that's okay. As long as we're hitting 30 meters a second, which is actually quite fast, but there's no weird, like, inversion. So just turn off the automatic friction control, or shit's gonna be bad, yo. All right, slam on the brakes. There you go. And I actually forgot that the wheels do get affected by the drive as well. All right, so let's slam on the brakes again and just recover the vessel. That was a successful check. According to Scott Manley, it's been there before. They removed it. It's back again. Significantly smaller. Always been there. They made it twice as big in 113. Oh. And it has nothing to do with, like, the upgrade of your space center or anything? So it was tiny before. Okay. Because, I mean, I wouldn't have noticed it except there's this little weird black speck in the distance. So, yeah, if it had been smaller before, it's very conceivable that I might have missed it. Okay, so, what are we doing today? We are going to do a mission to the moon, which is not too fancy, except we're going to do it with, like, 20 Kerbals, which means a very, 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 very heavy ship. We're getting into the Lunar Space Tourism Plan. And so what I'm going to use is a big, fat, heavy command module that can fit a lot of people. That can fit 6 Kerbals by itself. And then, if we search for crew, there is this Mark III passenger module, which holds 16 people. So there we go. So this gives us enough room up here for the flight crew, plus some flight attendants. So 3 flight crew, 3 flight attendants over there to serve 16 people. I mean, this is high-class space tourism. They even have a toilet they can use, which is going to be very exciting. And by toilet, I mean that we're going to make sure to use some TAC life support, which is in utilities somewhere. There we go. So I have the life support module system loaded, which means we have to make sure to include that, or otherwise people are going to die. Do we not have do I not have a little sheet somewhere that tells me? There's no little pop-up? Oh, probably here. Hold on. This is all, I reset all my mods and everything like that. We need to make sure we have access, there we go, to the TAC Life Support Build Aid, so that we know how much life support we're going to have eligible to ourselves. So, a trip to the moon takes about 3 days, you know, let's call it a week, like 7 days round trip to be safe. And I would like to feel better with if we had, say, enough to last a month. Now, we have to remember with Max Crew, right now, it's only loading so many. I gotta go and spawn some more Kerbals. So I'm gonna rename this Space Bus Mark 1. So 16 passengers, 6 crew. Kind of an aggressive ratio, but it's gonna be okay. We gotta go spawn some more Kerbals. We're gonna figure out the ticket price after, too. Astronaut Complex. Higher, 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 higher. If I leave and come back, will you have some more? There you go. Because we need at least 22 Kerbals. There you go, 23. Perfect. Does space bus come with regular bus smells? Of course. We strive for an authentic experience. There we go. 22 full Kerbals, which is our current crew. So right now we have about 5 hours worth of life support, which is obviously going to be insufficient. So these containers, okay, I want to sort this based on size. Go down to the bottom. They have the big Mark IIIs. Okay, they don't have Mark IIIs. The question is, do they have mixed, there we go, supplies, which has food, oxygen, water mixed together. Okay, this would last 129 days. Maybe a little bit too much, but it's not too bad. One thing to keep in mind, by water, it's about 50% water, and the other 50% is those tiny little bottles of liquor. We've got a good flight going on here. That's it is more than we need, and this is actually quite heavy. If I went and got the next smaller size, 14 days, but that's not quite enough. I really want at least a month to feel safe. Next we've got the procedural life support tanks. There we go. We'll use that. So, what are you going to contain? You've got all of them, which is good. I'm going to set your diameter to 2.5, which is great there. So this would be 2 months. Can I change your length down? 28 days. Maybe we'll go with 2 months. I'm going to feel nice and safe over here. Can we change... Oops. Can we change the skin? I like that. There we go. So right over there, this is where we keep all of our snacks, all of our pretzels, peanuts, little tiny liquor bottles, frozen dinners, that sort of thing. All up in there. Extra headphones. Nocturnal Android resubscribed and said more passengers equals more casualties. There you go. That's the fun. So we got that. We're gonna need power up here as well. So let's go and deal with that right away. We're gonna want our batteries. So it's kind of an awkward size. I mean, do we need the 7K or the 4K battery bank? This would give us 3.5 hours of electricity for just running the life support system. Is 3.5 hours enough? I don't know that it is, actually. I'd be kind of worried that being on the dark side of the moon might last too long. Now, our goal is to land, have the tourists walk out, you know, take selfies on the moon, of course, and then come home. So we don't need a ton of power for that. Obviously, we need solar panels. We may want to run a RTG, right? Radioisotope generator, which will always generate a little bit of electric charge. Maybe not as much as we would like. They're also quite hot. You know what? We'll probably be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Parachute. So we're gonna stick, our main actual slowdown method is actually gonna be the heat shield, but we're gonna want a couple more parachutes, including some drogues up here. So the question is, what's the center one gonna be? I guess we'll have a regular chute there. So these are gonna be our drogues, which release at much higher speed, but don't slow us down as much. So they're actually gonna launch first. And then we're going to throw on some more regular parachutes. Sizing is a little bit awkward here. It looks like we can do that. And I think I want like 8 of them. This is going to be pretty heavy. Yeah. Is there no way to range? I guess there's not the kind of spots that I'm imagining. For the sake of things, look... Oh, that actually might work for us then. Oh, but I don't want to block the hatches. So you know what? We're going to go with 6 parachutes. Not because that's a good number, just because I don't want to block any hatches. And you over here, we're going to go with... Maybe we'll go with 6 drogues. That come out that way. Not the most aerodynamic top. I suppose I could put an extra fairing on top. But that's okay. I don't have FAR loaded. So it actually should be relatively generous aerodynamically. So we've got that. We need some solar panels. Solar panels don't actually have to return with us. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put... do I want these? No, they're halfway inside. I'm gonna put a couple of static solar panels on there, but then in the part that we're gonna like leave in space, I'm gonna have the extendo solar panels as well. Although really, you know what? Never mind. I actually want solar panels there. I should probably still have some of the ones that don't need extending in case I forget to deploy them. There we go. Like this. Alright, lots and lots and lots of solar panels. We should have plenty of juice there, nothing to worry about. I'm going to go and set an action group for action group 1. Click on this, toggle the panels. Now I can hit the 1 key and toggle the solar panels on and off. Okay. How are you feeling? Yes. So I agree. Well, someone said SAS, but that made me think of RCS, which I think would be a good idea. I think there's pretty powerful reaction wheels on this. It might be a good idea to throw some RCS. Let's get the rest of the design going and then figure it out. So beneath this, we're going to have the heat shield. And we are specifically going to use the amazing deployable heat shield slash parachute-y kind of thing, which is this. It's fantastic. You can decouple itself later on. It'll slow us down really considerably on re-entry. It's going to be fine. And then below that, we're going to need a decoupler. So, sorted by size. Octo. Yeah, there's some ideas there. Oh! That's interesting with the fairing. Huh. Because no, I guess that's true. I'd need procedural fairings to really seal this in completely. And it might be because it's the Mark III, like, indented one as opposed to completely round. I wonder, if I went and just put in some generic thing that was pretty big. Like, if I put the 4K battery down here. Or yeah, because it'd be the 10K. And I did that, and I took this fairing off, and I put it here. No, it would still do that. Do I want the 10K battery? Full day of electricity at this point. Batteries are really heavy. But it would cover us completely on the dark side. I mean, the dark side of the moon lasts a different amount of time. Yeah, it's fine. It's a great album is what it is. Alright. So the idea is, this is the bit that eventually lands on Earth. This is the bit that's still with us on the moon. So the question is, what do we want to put under this? I got a tip from Luke. Hey, Luke. Thank you very much. Luke says, thank you so much for your hard work. May space travel and conquest never elude you. Thank you very much. Getting to space is easy. Staying there is hard. Coming back alive is the hardest part. I guess we're going to do this. I guess that's going to be fine. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use a smaller decoupler. It's fine. We're going to use the Rocco Max. There we go. Because that's going to be okay. And then I'm going to use a procedural fuel tank. And I will bring this up to the 2.75 meter diameter, which is what the top is. And then we are going to use some thud engines. This is probably almost certainly going to have to be a little bit longer. Something like that. And I want to use a series of thuds, these bad boys. And if we check the stats on the moon, thrust to weight is 7. I think we actually want something a little bit more. Generally speaking, if your thrust to weight on Earth is above 1, you're probably okay. I'm just wondering, I think I'm going to go up to a 6 engine setup over here. So our delta V is 17. Yeah, so we're going to need a little bit longer. Because we're going to want... This engine is going to be responsible for landing us on the moon. So we're going to be... Assuming we're in lunar orbit, this engine is going to have to deorbit us, land us, take off, and then do one more burn to intercept Kerbal. So it takes just north of 800 meters per second to go from the lunar surface into lunar orbit. And in theory, assuming a perfect suicide burn, it takes the same amount to land. But you really want some extra padding for that landing. So call it more like 1,000 delta V for the landing. So now we're talking about 1,800, maybe 1,900. Again, let's round up for an accident. 2,000. And then you only need maybe another couple hundred meters per second delta V to make it from lunar orbit back to Kerbin. Hey, Reg, thank you very much for the resub. So call the whole thing 2,200 delta V or so, and that should be okay. So let's go and get it up to maybe about 2,300 over here. Actually, we can get to 2,400, not too bad. And then we've got a big margin of error. Now, what we could do here is we could have 2 stages as well, which might not be terrible, because this is actually a fair amount. What if we do split this into 2 steps? So we've got you, and we say, let's say this is just the return stage. This is the stage that's going to leave Mars, or leave the moon, and return to Kerbal. So again, it should take just a little over 800. I can't remember if it's 800, 820, 880. Let's say 900 delta V to get into orbit, and then a little bit extra to get back home. Call it something like, say, 1,300, like this. So that's actually a little bit better, and it could probably make do with fewer engines. Actually, it can definitely make do with fewer engines to leave the moon, because you want more engines on your landing because you really need to arrest your motion. Like, when you need to stop now. But like this, we've got a thrust weight well above the moon, so now we've made ourselves a lot lighter, which improves our delta V even more. This should be enough to get us home, which I like. In fact, there we go, we'll trim it down. So we've got about 1,400 delta V to get home with this stage. That's kind of nice. So then we can throw on the big fat decoupler, which at least they're relatively light. I can't remember, what's the stat on this? Well, 0.8 tons is actually pretty goddamn heavy. But if we do this, and we reorganize the stages to do that. So now we've got more delta V than we had before, which is great. And specifically, this stage here is supposed to land us from lunar orbit, which, again, on a perfect suicide burn, you're talking about 900 meters per second. Somewhere between 8 and 900 meters per second. Obviously, we're not going to be perfect, so we want an extra margin for error in there. So we can bring that down, and maybe, oops, not diameter, length. Bring that down. I think I'd feel quite comfortable with about 1,200. Ideally, there'll be a little bit left in the tank to help us lift off as well. And here, I do want extra engines because I want a lot more thrust weight so that when I say, whoa, we need to stop now, it'll stop frickin' now. So the 6 engines gives us a 7 thrust weight ratio on the moon, which is pretty good. We still need our landing gear, though. And we're going to use probably the big L2 landing struts like that, and something like that. We don't really need 6, but you know what? That's not bad. We don't need ladders or anything like that. Watch, you will add a reaction wheel and forget about delta V. So this bit at the front not actually have the reaction wheel. Yeah, it does. Actually, it has a really powerful reaction. Oh, that's the copula module. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the heavy command module. 35 reaction wheel. This is a really powerful one. So we're not going to need any RCS or anything like this. This thing is going to be able to spin us on a dime. Now we can do a quick little test run here. If we look at Kerbin over here, our thrust weight is above 1, which means this will take off on Kerbin, which is a good sign that we've got way too much power. But there's no such thing as too much, right? There's only not enough and awesome! So let's give this a quick little test here. Verify that the system's run. So very slow liftoff here. But on the moon, this would be a hell of a kick. Oh my god, that's really loud! Hang on, I can back up. Can I change the volume settings here? Spacecraft sounds. Let's drop that down to like 20%. 15%. Apply, accept. Resume. There we go. So that's good. Hell, how much delta V? Okay, we don't have quite enough to get into orbit. We could get into space with this, though. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the engines. I'm going to stage. And then this stage here does not have enough to lift us on Kerbin at all. But it lights. Boom. All right. Successful test. Any explosion is a... anything that results in a big explosion is a successful test for our Kerbals. So that's good. I mean, I could have just taken off a bit with this and then landed again with this, which would show that, you know, we do have the sturdiness to land, but that's okay. So I'm hoping that with the powerful reaction wheel here, this is really tall. And tall is hard to land. Obviously, we can't land on any kind of slope whatsoever. It's got to be perfectly flat, which is a little unpleasant. That's going to be the tricky spot, is picking the perfect landing place. I don't think it's going to be too top heavy, because I think a lot of the weight's going to be down here. But yeah. Okay, so we are going to start retracted. We're going to pull you up. So now comes the really hard part. Getting this thing into space. Well, actually, okay, so this is the place, this is the thing that's going to land us on the moon. Now we need a stage that will get us to the moon and will handle our orbital insertion, which could be 2 separate stages. We're going to see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by copying this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So what we want is one of the very high efficiency 3.75 engines for outer space. I don't know if they have that. Fission reactors. Oh, there we go. What are you talking about here? Thrust in a vacuum. ISP in a vacuum. Very good. Alright, so the thrust to weight ratio of this, in terms of Kerbin, is only 0.57. So this is not going to be a very fast push, but it will be a fairly efficient push, is the hope. So this thing here will definitely need more delta V. That's probably way more than we need. I'm trying to remember. To get from Kerbin to the moon, how come it's changing the delta V of stage 5? Oh, because my separatrons, or the decoupler's not on the right stage. There it is. I wonder how much we need. I need my Kerbal delta V map to remind myself what the math is. Low Kerbin orbit to the moon. We need about 860 for lunar intercept, and another 310-ish to enter the orbit. So call it about 1200 delta V to go from orbiting around Kerbin to orbiting around the moon. So and that's what I want this stage to do. Again, it could be split into 2 stages, one for translunar injection and another one for lunar orbital injection. But I think we can just do it as one. So that's 1200 delta V there. I'm going to give it just a scooch more to deal with the fact, there we go, 1282, to deal with the fact that I probably won't do the burns quite correctly. That's got a bit reseated because it's looking a little bit funny. The other thing we can do is change the texture. Let's get one of the like gold foil ones. There we go. Gold foil wrapped engine. Gorgeous. Okay, so now we have to get this thing into Kerbin orbit, which we probably want 2 stages for. Again, this is a very efficient engine for circularizing as well. We could use this stage for that, but I think I want to save it entirely for the next bit. So, our new stage down here is going to have to get us, in total, with all the staging below this, is going to have to get us about 3,500 delta V, call it 4,000 to be safe, to enter low Kerbin orbit. So this is going to get us into space. So for this, I'm not going to have it wrapped in gold. Orange. Big orange tanks. Lots of length there, which means it's not seating properly. And actually our engine's kind of foobarred here. Get rid of this engine. More. There we go. And just resit this so that it's not sitting inside one another. So the Rhino's the big-ass engine. And what are we looking at if we do this? So again, it didn't put the decoupler in the right place. We want it there. So this first stage currently has not enough thrust to weight and none of delta V. This is not a powerful enough engine to get us where we're looking to go. Now, if we switch out for the mammoths over here, it's got its own propellant, but it will use the one from above. There we go. Thrust to weight of 1.96, which is more than we need, which means we can give it some extra length here. And more, and like that. That brings us to a thrust weight of 1.39, which is lots of power.